A powerful new series from the New York Times investigates the causes behind the housing crisis that engulfed the city and resulted in increased evictions and a growing rate of homelessness. As rents continued to rise, journalists at the paper looked into the practices of landlords that raise rents higher and higher. And they also explored how a system of regulations once designed to protect residents are now being used to evict tenants from their affordable housing units. The reporting was spearheaded by reporter Kim Barker, and I'm pleased to welcome her to the program. Kim, welcome.
Thanks very much for having me here.
So first, Kim, tell me, how did you create this series? Because this is the topic on everyone's tongues in New York.
I think that's the reason we started looking into it. And the whole goal and the whole challenge was that a lot of the information we were looking to get at is considered to be confidential by the state agency that regulates regulated housing. So we had to figure out different ways to get at it. We didn't want to just do anecdotal stories. So we wanted whatever we did to be backed up with data. And we came up with, we looked at the Department of Buildings and came up with databases from that. We had somebody scrape the tax bills to be able to look at the number of rent-stabilized units and how that had gone down in different buildings. We reported that out to make sure it was accurate. And we came up with this idea of tactics that mega landlords use to try to push out tenants from regulated housing, and what tenants were doing were really no match for that if the landlord was very organized and very large.
And one of the things I thought was so interesting was that to get some of those testimonials about some of the tactics that landlords were using, you, of course, had to talk to tenants, but a lot of them were apprehensive to open up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, think about like being asked to talk about your landlord in public with your name, and you're already a little bit nervous about what your landlord is doing and like your relationship with your landlord. It can be a very nerve-wracking thing. I mean, even one of the tenants I wrote about who had been pushed out and was living in rural Pennsylvania was still very nervous to talk about her landlord. She still
even though she was no longer in the building.
She still had nightmares, and she was convinced that they were going to come after her. And she was older, and it was only through her niece, really, that convinced her that it was a good thing to talk to us.
So when we talk about tactics, what are some of the things that you were hearing that you were finding in your reporting?
Well, the whole idea of, basically it starts out with, a new person buys a building, a new company usually buys a building. And if it's got a lot of rent-stabilized units in it or even rent-controlled units in it, the goal is to try to get the rents higher for those units. So the first thing you do if you're a new owner is you go through the building and you try to get folks to take what's called a buyout, and it's a chunk of money that means that you will leave in exchange for that money. If that doesn't work, you try other tactics. You research them. You maybe file a lawsuit against them in housing court saying that they're not meeting the standards of the lease. They might have a primary resident. You allege that they have a primary residence elsewhere, right? You say that they're not paying their rent on time. And these lawsuits and these buyouts, and as well as other things, can add up to people just deciding it's a better idea to leave. And then once you clear out an apartment, you start doing construction in that apartment. That construction is then used to be able to increase the rent even higher. It also serves as a way to harass other tenants who live in the building. I think anybody understands that if you're living in a building and there's constantly construction going on, constantly dust going on, there's not enough protections, it makes you less likely to want to live there. It makes you start feeling like this is not worth it.
Well, that's interesting because what you were just describing, which I'm sure is incredibly stressful enough, but it sort of fits with some of the other more horror stories that we've heard where they'll cut off heat or they'll cut off hot water or really try to terrorize tenants out the building. Is that a fair assessment to make? Well,
I mean, you can't say, obviously not all landlords are bad, right? And we're talking about a class of landlords, and these are landlords, and sort of we call them mega landlords, folks who own, and companies who own a lot of buildings, and the whole goal with those buildings is to drive up the rents as high as possible. And in that case, I think you stop looking at your tenants as actual, people. It's more like you're looking at numbers, right? How do I get the number up as high as possible? But yeah, what you're talking about, either proactive cutting the heat off, not having enough hot water during the winter months, or it's just neglect. It's like not doing enough things, just not being responsive to tenants' concerns. All of these things, especially if you're in the middle of winter, can add up to being a very frustrating experience. And obviously the landlord that most everybody knows, who's known for this sort of thing, is Steve Kroman and his particular company. And he's the one person who's been, who's sort of been held up as, I believe the former attorney general called him the Bernie Madoff of landlords. And he was actually criminally charged in relation to the mortgages he took out on these properties.
And then one final thought is, or question I should say, is about when some of these apartments are brought up to what is now considered to be market rate.
Right.
You could have people who just buy them or rent them as an investment and don't move in them.
Here's the way it works, right? These buildings, these multifamily buildings with a lot of rent-stabilized units in them, they're advertised as having a lot of way to add value, right? Adding value means that you're basically pushing out the stabilized tenants and increasing the rents to the free market. That is how you add value. That is how you get more money. And the whole goal when you get a building like this for some specific owners is to maximize your profit. I think that anybody who understands profit and loss understands that, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you want to get as much money as you can for the rents for a building. But what that doesn't really account for is the people who were living there before and where they actually go. Because you've got people who are being pushed out. They're moving to like far-flung areas of, the Bronx, the far Rockaways. They're even moving to, places like Pennsylvania. They're leaving the city altogether. It's like what we were talking beforehand. People just getting priced out, not being able to afford to live in this city. And I think that that might be the city we want, but it's something that we need to ask ourselves if that is indeed the city we want, that people who actually, do jobs that keep the city going, if they cannot afford to live here, then what sort of city do we have?
I think that is an excellent question and a great point to end this on. Thank you so much for doing this series. It's definitely something that we're all trying to figure out. Do I stay? Do I go? Do I continue fighting? Do I not? What do you do living in New York? Just making the rent can be incredibly difficult.
Right, it can be.
All right, well, thank you again.
Thanks very much.